4-H Extension Hands-on Learning recorded 7/30/87.
I like actually doing the work instead of sitting around and sitting around in a circle and talking about what we can do. It's a lot more fun this way because we get to actually experience the group project working together.
Yes, because it gets you involved with older and younger members, and you just get to know the other members a lot better, and it's better communication between the older and younger, so the younger kids aren't scared of the older, and it's a lot better.
Because if you don't, then you get bored and you quit. Most of my peers have quit before this, but they aren't in my group now, so they didn't start out. They have a boring group. I quit their group too. We started our own.
These 4-Hers are talking about hands-on learning, experiential learning, learning by discovery. They're talking about making the 4-H slogan real, learning by doing. The early 4-H pioneers discovered that it worked. 4-Hers have changed, but the slogan is still true today. We learn more when we do something, when we're involved in the experience. We learn less when we only listen. King Kelly is one 4-H leader who believes in doing. He not only believes in it, he conducts workshops for other leaders to encourage them to adopt hands-on learning in their 4-H groups.
Well, I'd kind of like to rephrase that a little bit, and when I give my workshops, I make learning fun. And I think we find out if kids are having fun and doing something, they'll learn much faster. I like to talk, but that's probably my long suit. Sure, I like to lecture and talk, but I guess there's the old saying, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth, and you don't learn anything when you're always talking. And so it's very hard for me, and I got to really work at it. And this is one area that, hey, this isn't my club, this is the kids' club. So you got to have activities that they take part in, that they do. And sometimes I think when I give these workshops, I got a little card that says kids comprehend only 20% of what they hear. And so we as leaders, and I try to explain to the workshops that, hey, you get up there and talk, and those kids could care less. But if you turn around and have them do it, what they do, like their projects or getting up, they retain 90% of that. 90%. And geez, our time's too valuable to be wasting. And so, yes, have the kids do things. And it's very hard. For me, it's very hard. I have to work at it. But that's what makes it challenging.
Wendy Hansen leads a very young 4-H group. One of their projects is making toys and games for community daycare centers. She's sold on the experiential learning approach for the 4-Hers, but she likes it for another reason, too.
Well, I probably learn as much as they do. I have to get into the project by preparing for it, and I learn by preparing the project for the girls and getting all our materials ready, thinking about what we're going to do, and that way it helps me learn a little bit about what we're doing each month, and gets me prepared and gets them prepared, and so I have this all together. I think all of the girls would just as soon be doing something with their hands, and instead of me just getting up in front and talking to them. and them taking maybe little notes here and there, and then they just kind of get shoved aside and they don't maybe ever look at them again. I really think by the girls getting in here and doing the projects, and we go on our little field trips and things like that, and they see these things, that's the way that they're going to learn.
4-Hers learn by doing in 4-H groups, but in other activities too. Mary Beth Kaufman is an extension professional. She conducts part of her county 4-H activities through school classrooms, in this case the On My Own and OK program. It's designed to help young people learn responsibilities and some coping skills for the times when they're home without parents. Mary Beth likes to use role-playing.
I think that they can, it gives them an opportunity to relate the experience or that activity, in this case the role-playing, to some real-life experiences and what they might do in those situations. I think it makes learning fun. I think it's beyond that, listening, doing worksheets, answering questions, and it's another avenue, I guess, that you can use, and I think it helps the kids to make or realize that learning is fun for them. Right. I think one thing is it gets more of the kids involved. There's some kids that when you're asking a question, they just don't respond. And it seems like if you're doing an activity that you try to get all of them involved in, that there's more of them that are responding. The quiet kids, sometimes it gives them a chance to participate. And I think as they relate the situation or the thing that's happening to their own lives, and they're more willing to respond. They're more willing to react to that.
We've had a very enthusiastic response from the students and the teachers and the parents that we've contacted. The students start out the first day that we're here, they listen to us and find out what we have to say, and by the end of the week they're really enthusiastic. They're coming up and talking to us. They're asking us lots of questions. They're real happy, glad to see us come in and provide, and we're doing it in a different setting than maybe as a different role as teacher.
4-H parents appreciate the hands-on learning approach too.
I think they learn always best by doing. I believe that, just in my experience with my own kids, that they remember if they make mistakes themselves, then they remember better than if you do it for them and they just watch. Once they've made the mistake or had the success, they remember in their own minds what it was they did right or what they did wrong in order to not do it again the next time.
We've heard from 4-H leaders, extension staff, and 4-H parents, but the most convincing testimonials for hands-on learning comes from 4-Hers who tell what it's like to belong to an action-oriented group.
They're a lot more interesting, they're more informal than formal. I've been in other 4-H clubs and they've been very formal, and they haven't been as much fun as this.
It has a lot of activities, a lot of guessing games that you could really get into them, and it's enjoyable. It doesn't just it's not boring, and they just keep you going, and helps you a lot with your projects, and I like that. I enjoy 4-H, and it's enjoyable. I like coming to 4-H because I know there's always be something new to look forward to.
4-H can be many things. One of the most important is the chance for young people to make mistakes, to try new ideas, to make those new ideas their own by playing an active part in the learning process. 4-H volunteers and extension professionals can help that happen. Do it. Now it's your turn. Talk about how you make learning active and fun in your group, or how you wish you could. Sure, it's risky. You may have to do some letting go, but it's exciting too. Watch what happens.
4-H Extension, Self-Esteem, recorded 7/30/87.
.4-H and 4-H leaders can help young people develop life skills. The most important one is self-esteem. Self-esteem? That's feeling good about ourselves. It's what happens inside when we accomplish something, when we reach a goal. A 4-H leader's most important job is to help 4-Hers recognize the good in their experiences, help them build their own self-esteem, and then celebrate with them. For some 4-Hers, the project and award system offers a structure for recognition, for building self-esteem. Kim Weiss found that the 4-H dog care and training program helped her develop a sense of accomplishment, a sense that she was doing something worthwhile. She found, too, that she had the support of her family and 4-H leaders. Through that support and 10 years of experience, she learned that feeling good about herself had a lot to do with setting goals, reachable goals, and knowing how to measure progress along the way.
Okay, when I was 9 years old, I had a goal that I wanted to take my dog. I wanted to train my dog to be an obedient dog. I wanted to train him to sit and heel so that he'd be a good pet for me. Okay, that was my first goal. How do I know that I made progress? Well, the first year I didn't because my dog ended up making a fool out of me in the ring that year at the county fair. But I knew that I had made progress because even though my dog didn't do what I told it to in the ring, I made progress because I set the goal to train my dog, and I knew myself that he would do that. He would do it at home, maybe not in front of a crowd, but he would do that. So I had made, maybe my first step of progress. And so I had the next year to go on from that. And then the next year I could see that my dog was a little bit calmer. He welcomed people to the home a little bit more. And he still didn't do anything at any show. But the fact was he was a much better pet for me. And that's all that mattered, that he had become a better and better behaved dog and a better pet for me. So those were the earlier years that I learned that I had set that goal to train my dog, and I had made some progress. And then in the later years, there was the setting of I set the goal to teach others. Okay, when I had become an intermediate, I decided to be a junior leader. And I had gained so much from training my own dog and developing a friendship, sort of a friendship type thing with my pet, that I wanted to share that with others. So I started working with the younger kids. And so that was kind of a goal, to teach others. And how I knew that I made progress was other people would come to me and ask for help with their dogs. I realized that I was teaching them something because they were coming to me and asking for help. When I reached the senior level, then when my dog obedience leader decided to retire, I felt like, not really as it was my responsibility, but it was just a thing that I wanted to do, was to teach others. And so I made a goal to rebuild the dog program, because after she had retired, many people quit because they realized that she was gone. So my goal was to rebuild the program. I think the first year I had 6 kids come, and I taught them the whole year how to train their dogs, and they showed at the county fair. The second year I had the program, it raised to 12. And this is the 4th year I've had it. And we had our first meeting, and we have 23 kids now. And so that's how you know you make progress, is you see a program build. You start at the very bottom and you work to the top. And so I can really see that I've made progress. I get contacted from people to, they're interested in the dog program. And I can really see, I can see kids excited about it. I can see parents excited about it. So I can tell nobody's come and said, Kim, you're the greatest dog leader in the world. But I can see the progress because of the excitement in the kids and the rebuilding of the program.
Kim's formal award was a trip to the National 4-H Congress. National Congress lasts a week, but her personal growth will be lifelong.
Well, part of my goal is I like to help other people in my community and people around me. So I help these people, these ladies, and taught them how to paint, and I hope that they'll like it. I guess I didn't really want to do it for recognition. I just wanted to do it to help these ladies here and teach them how to paint. I've learned many things from them and learned things I didn't know before, and seeing their expressions on their faces when they get done, and 2 of them go to my church, and then seeing them come up and they hug me and they want to hold my hand and always say hi to me.
Dean Faust is a 4-H'er who works with clients of a community work activity center. He helps handicapped people complete basic art projects. Their response to what he's doing makes him feel good about his efforts. Their response helps him feel that he's needed and that what he's doing is a genuine contribution to his community. That adds up to very positive self-esteem for Dean. High self-esteem should be an important outcome of a 4-H experience, perhaps the most important outcome. Sometimes 4-H'ers achieve that good feeling when they're recognized with formal awards. Dean's recognition is more informal, more of a personal recognition from those he's helped, and he's passing his good feelings on to others. Don Augustine is the Work Center Director. He's aware of the unique impact that Dean's contribution has on the clients.
The biggest reward of all is the happiness and the kind of enthusiasm or the joy or whatever you want to call it, but the good feelings that come from being productive. And you notice, as you notice the process going on here, people are happy at it. They're enjoying what they're doing. And to spend time enjoyably is kind of the big reward. And I think that's kind of the real plus that comes from this process. The clients produce something that they're proud of. That joy kind of lasts when they go home and see it on the wall. They can be proud of something that they've made. I guess I'm a maker. I like to make things. And I guess I take a certain satisfaction in looking at something that I've made that I feel a little bit proud of. They've produced quality stuff here. They've made nice things that they can take home and put on their walls or wear, proudly. And I think that creates a good feeling in people.
Augustine is most aware of the progress his clients have made because of the young 4-H'er. But he senses, too, that Dean's experience promises both short and long-term benefits for him.
For a young man of his age, I have to say this, that he participates and interacts with these, with the disabled population very well, very, just very maturely, I would say. And whatever he's gained has been inside of him, and it's hard for me to answer that question. There's folks, and he will probably be able to tell you that better. I can say this, as I said before, that he has, displayed an ability to relate to people that really surprises me for his age. I think maybe an older person or somebody that's been trained, might go through things kind of as genuinely and as relaxed as he does. This kind of an unusual group of folks, like for a person to come in off the street and meet, I think, that the voice, the words, and all those things might take somebody by surprise. And he deals with all that very matter-of-factly, just accepts people as they are, and just a very wholesome thing. I guess one thing that he might have got would be some kind of a sample of what it's like to do this kind of work, and it might allow him to think in the future that maybe this would be something he'd like to do in some area or other of rehabilitation. Now, could be a good outcome for him.
Dean Faust was recognized in an informal way for his work with local people. But in the process, the whole 4-H program was recognized in a new way.
This is a whole new concept as far as I'm concerned, a whole new real broadening of the scope of what 4-H is about. Really good idea, I think. Very, I guess I'm really surprised, and again, not really aware that 4-H was interested in this kind of thing. It enlightened me. I feel enlightened that 4-H is concerned with this kind of thing.
Well, I go home feeling good, and tell everybody what we did and everything, and I'm looking forward to next week. Well, I'd much rather have this, be able to teach them. It makes you feel better inside, and just it's a lot better than a ribbon or a certificate.
Building self-esteem in 4-Hers is a primary goal. Feeling good about ourselves and what we do encourages us to do even more. It's a real self-generator, and it's catching. We naturally seek places where that can happen. A 4-H group can offer a great opportunity for young people to feel good about themselves and what they do. Let's talk about your group, your 4-Hers right now. How would you rate the feelings in your group? What would your 4-Hers tell you about the atmosphere you create for them? How can you make it better?
.4-H Extension, Fun, recorded 7/30/87.
Fun. It's more than playing games. Having fun helps all of us, youth and adults, achieve a certain balance in our lives, a sense of emotional well-being. Fun helps each of us become a whole person, and it has a lot to do with effective learning.
I think having fun is important for a couple of reasons. Number one, I guess people learn in lots of ways. They learn. Some few people learn because they love to soak up knowledge. You know, other people learn because they have just a yen for subject matter about a certain kind of subject matter. But most people don't learn that way, and fun is just a good way to help it be enjoyable for people. I find through both my teaching in the classroom and in teaching with adults and youth that kids learn, or people learn best when they're enjoying it. And there are lots of ways to enjoy it. You can enjoy it through hands-on sorts of things. You can enjoy it through making it fun in a humorous sort of way. But fun is a very, very important part of it. The second reason I think that it is so important is that we're dealing primarily with a voluntary public. It's a public that it's not like teaching in a classroom where the kids have to be there. We're teaching with a public that is there because they want to be. And if they're not having fun in one of those ways, if they're not enjoying it through hands-on learning, through through humor or whatever, then they're going to leave. They're going to vote with their feet, and they're going to just up and leave. So I think it's real important that when you're dealing with volunteer publics, such as we are, as leaders, that we allow the kids, we make the learning experiences fun for them, and there are lots of ways of doing that.
And when learning is fun, it's easy to see.
Yeah, the signs are easy because they smile, they get big eyes, they get really big eyes, and they you see, well, I call it the light bulb reaction. You know, that in the cartoons you see when a cartoon character has an idea, you know that because they have this little light bulb that goes on above their head, and that's what kids and adults experience. They experience that light bulb reaction, that, wow, gee whiz, I didn't realize that, and it's all of a sudden they're making connections in their minds, and you can see the excitement on their faces. And it's not, you see it more often in youth. Youth are a little less inhibited, perhaps, but you see it in adults as well. That sort of wide-eyed excitement about learning something new and making some connections in their mind that weren't there before. Smile on their face, big eyes, you know learning's going on.
When 4-H'ers have a good time with learning, leaders can share that fun and know that they're accomplishing something.
It makes me feel wonderful, because I know they're learning. I know when they're having fun, they're learning. And how do I know that? Well, I know that because people come back to me years later and see me on the street or something, and they'll tell me something that they remember about a session we were in. An example, I do a skit dealing with photosynthesis and a number of other things. You can use drama, creative drama techniques really easily with youth and adults to get them to understand more complex processes. For example, it might be one of these trees or bushes. We might look at the photosynthesis going on in this green plant here, and when we do that whole skit, everybody makes a noise. You know, one person is the little green plant, and another person is the sun. The sun goes boogie, 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 and the water goes trickle, 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 and they've got CO2, CO2, and they've got dirt, 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 dirt. You know, and all those things are going on, and they're a part of it, and all of a sudden they understand photosynthesis. It's not just lines in a book and chemical formulas and like that. It's something that's real to them because they became a part of it. I've had people come up to me years later and see me on the street and go, boogie, 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 you know? And well, men in the white coats come and get them. But they have remembered photosynthesis because they've become a part of it. And so that makes me feel really good as a teacher. Because I think teachers more than anything, and leaders, volunteer leaders, are very much teachers. More than anything, they facilitate learning. They make learning possible. They take moments of time and allow kids to experience, kids and adults, but in this case, youth. They allow youth to experience moments of insight. It might be insights about themselves, it might be insights about the environment, it might be insights about other people, any of those things. And I think leaders, if they can do that, they can make it enjoyable and can facilitate that learning to take place. Then they've really created a very, very high quality learning environment.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Having fun at the 4-H meetings means that you can tell your friends at school how much fun it was, and then they might join. And if you get a big club, you can be really proud of your club.
This 4-H'er is talking about his 4-H group's International Night. An international 4-H youth exchange delegate helped the group learn a Jamaican song and bake their own snacks. The evening's program accomplished two things. One, the 4-H'ers were exposed to another culture.
I hope that they have learned from the session this evening that there is a world out there for them to discover and be part of, and that even though people in other countries have different colored skin, may have a different language than we do, that they are human beings just like us with dreams and aspirations just like we do here in America, human beings.
Katie wanted the 4-Hers to learn about another culture, and she wanted them to have fun in the process.
I found that working with young people, when they have fun and get involved with activities, they have a tendency to learn things and be able to retain that longer. Just from my experiences in Jamaica, I would teach kids certain songs and I'd go back and see them a couple months later and they still remembered the song because it was something they were involved in and they had fun with, and it was action, and so having fun is real important in getting the young people involved.
I said a boom, a chicka boom.
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 I said a boom, a chicka.
Many 4-H groups do their best to extend the good times to the entire family. One group conducts a family bread baking workshop, and to them it's an event worth doing.
Well, it's really fun for me to watch my, at the moment, 16-year-old sons cooking and enjoying it. They've done some cooking as they've taken foods at school, but you know, it's a much more relaxed, friendly, helping atmosphere when they're just working together in 4-H with all ages of children.
In past experience in working with other organizations that involved young people, it seemed like the kids that their parents weren't involved did not succeed. And we've seen it here in 4-H too, that if we have good parental involvement and support, kids do well, we can share good projects. I'm not saying that the parents need to sometimes happen, I'm sure, but it's real nice to have mom and dad in the background to come along and to help and provide moral support.
I think probably the most important thing is just time with my 2 girls. I have 5 children, and opportunities like this to just take 1 or 2 of them aside and spend some time in an activity with them is really important to me, and I think it's important to them too.
So, fun is more than playing games. It helps 4-Hers, all of us, make learning a good time.
Well, if they think 4-H is boring, they're not going to come. And they're not going to tell their friends. And then their friends won't come. And there'll be a whole bunch of kids out there that won't get to share the fun of 4-H.
Try to imagine your 4-H group through the eyes of a young person. If you were 10, or 14, or 17, would you stick around? What memories will your 4-Hers carry about their group? Do your 4-Hers have fun while they learn?
.4-H Extension Youth Involvement recorded 7/30/87.
are lots of ways to measure the best 4-H group. For some, the best means the most county fair exhibits, the most members with the most projects. Lots of busy 4-Hers doing lots of things. Marlene Bartlett was a leader of a 4-H group much like that. She and her co-leader saw to it that everything was planned, that everything worked as it should. So it seemed. Then she got a letter from one of her 4-Hers, a letter of complaint.
Well, basically, she said, I'm not sure what prompted this, whether there was some reason that she was unhappy with me or what. But all of a sudden, she had said, I thought 4-H was for this 4-Hers. She says, it seems to me that you're doing an awful lot of the planning and an awful lot of the organizing, and you're not giving us a chance to have a say on the things we are doing in 4-H.
Marlene's response to that was predictable. She was hurt, and she was angry. One of her first thoughts was, well, I'll just quit. But she didn't. Instead, she listened more carefully to what the 4-Her was saying. Eventually, her feelings changed, and so did her 4-H group.
Okay, well, we started very slowly in this giving the club more of a chance to speak up. Some of the little things that we would do within the club would be to allow them to put jobs in the job jar, for instance. And then when they would come to the 4-H meeting, they would have certain things that they would do. That was maybe one of the very first things that we did. But I personally began to feel that I needed to be more aware of the feelings of these 4-Hers, and that they were all individuals, and they all had individual needs, and that in cases a little bit later I realized that maybe I was the only an adult that they were able to confide in or to talk to. And this was another breakthrough for me in that I was not just an adult that was working with 4-H projects and this type of thing, but I was dealing with the individual. I was caring. I let them know that I cared for them, and then I became very aware of what they were doing and what were some of their problems beyond how to put the seam in or how to make the pie or this type of thing. Maybe they would talk about something that was going on at home. And I think all of this grew out of a chance to look at something beyond just being the best 4-H club or having the best projects or having the most activities, and that I spent more time thinking about the youth. And this has something that's been going on, when I'm dealing with youth of other organizations also, that has helped me to understand. I think the words I feel are caring and being aware of what is happening to them.
The 4-Her in Marlene's group had the courage to speak up, to ask for changes in what she saw as a leader-dominated approach. An isolated case? No. It's a situation that exists coast to coast when 4-H groups do not allow input from young people.
We have two research studies that indicate that when members are not involved in the planning process, they tend to drop out. Cornell University research has indicated that 4-Hers complained that the program was adult-dominated. The members said that the adults say members do. California had a similar research study in which they found that the adults frequently impose what the adults are interested in without relationship to what the young people are interested in. They also indicated that there was really no decision-making being allowed by the 4-Hers. These indicate or are reasons why 4-Hers are not staying in the local units.
Decision-making is very much a part of Julie Almquist's County 4-H Council. Julie is a 4-H professional. She channels the energies of her council to create a county-level program, a program built by 4-Hers.
Well, it's kind of a lengthy process. In fact, it's a joke, I think, among the county council 4-Hers that
This will be the longest 4-H meeting that they'll have, or the longest county council meeting that they'll have. What we do is we start out and we discuss some of the needs of the 4-Hers. Actually, we start with a very broad base. What are some of the needs of youth in general? And then we try to bring it down to the 4-H program. And then from there, they come up or they brainstorm for some activities that will meet those needs. And also, I can't do everything by myself. And they're at an age where they can take on quite a bit of responsibility to get things set up, programs organized. And it also meets some of my goals in terms of youth development, building some leadership skills, organizational skills for the youth, responsibility. You know, what happens if I don't follow through with my responsibilities? And they have to meet the wrath of the rest of the county council when that happens. So I guess that's why I enjoy having the county council involved. And we have half the council is a holdover group, and the rest of the council is new people. So we have 8 and 8. And I guess what I like the best about that is that they have some insight on the kinds of things that we did last year or the year before, and can say, well, hey, I really felt good about that program, or I felt, you know, that really didn't go the direction that we wanted it to. And they can kind of give some vital input to the programs that we want to put together for the next year.
The 4-Hers see the benefits from their close involvement in county program planning.
Okay, first of all, we get a lot of communication skills when we do this. We can get a bunch of ideas together, and we can relate with each other, and we can learn, we can get each other's ideas and bring them together and get the needs that the 4-Hers have, and from more than one side. And we also we get our goals set, and we can get a lot accomplished when we're organized into these different activities. We can like interpret things digitally. We can get across people our age and our goals and our needs are totally different from what she may think our needs are. We can kind of, you know, interpret and get the message across to her, you know, what the 4-Hers needs are.
These 4-Hers are planning at the county level, but the planning process works in local groups too. In this case, the project is a booth at the county fair. If you're wondering about the group's leader, she's not missing. After some beginning guidance, she turned the project over to this committee. They made the decisions. They organized the effort. One of the group's leaders explains how she makes sure that the booth is the 4-Hers project.
Well, mainly with this responsibility that we have right now of planning the fair booth, I asked the president to appoint a committee to develop, to come up with the idea of what they would like to do for the fair booth. So we try to come up with an idea. There is a little competition at the fair on this for the best booth idea. Come up with an idea to display this. And in order to do this, I ask them then to appoint a committee, and then the committee gets together. Sometimes one of us leaders is at the committee meeting, but we turn it over to them to find the idea that they'd like to do and line up the supplies, and then they inform the other members what they are to do as a group.
We had to, first of all, we had to come up with a theme, and that was the hardest part because we had lots of ideas. And then once we got the theme, we had to think of size and the colors that we needed to use because we didn't want too many so it looked splotchy, but yet we wanted the main 4-H colors in it too.
The 4-Hers see some real value in being closely involved.
Because if it's our booth and we're going to display our projects in it, so it's nice to be proud of our booth that we made it up too, that the whole club could be a part of it and not just the leaders. And we're help making it, and so it's more fair and we just feel better about it. The Fair Booth Committee learns how to take a lot of responsibility to get the materials ready and everything for the other club and to get it ready in time. And we all learn how to work together and how to compromise a little so that we do agree on a topic and we can all work on it together.
The product was a booth for the county fair, but one of the longer-lasting outcomes was knowing that it was their project. They also learned to negotiate with a variety of opinions within the group.
There were some differences in opinion, but once we talked it out and made changes that made the person happy, we got most everybody to agree on the decision. If they didn't agree on the decision, they wouldn't work their full effort on it, and they just wouldn't be pleased with it when it got done.
The 4-H'ers learn to plan and complete a project, but there's something in it for the leaders, too.
Well, I feel that it's satisfaction I get from seeing the growth in the girls, for one thing. I benefit from the fact that they enjoy doing this, and it really is their club anyway. It's their ideas. I feel that they have learned some skills of working together. I feel that I benefit in seeing them work together. Sometimes I have one or two that like to hang back and not participate, but if we can encourage them and they can work together on this, then I think that we're developing individuals.
How would the 4-H'ers in your group feel? Would they claim your group's program as theirs?